Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Regal Mindset Podcast show. I am Keisha. I'm just one half of the host of the Mindset Podcast. We are live. Jay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. I am Joy, the coach. I am the other half of the Regal Mindset Show. And we haven't been live in like 3 weeks now?
Y-
So yeah,
Uh,
it's been
well, we
two
missed
weeks.
last week. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the week before that, we were live. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's a
Okay.
blessing. Uh,
Yeah.
it's still Pride Month, you know.
We still gay.
Okay, and we hope to be gay for the balance of the year. It's
Right.
2025. We're gonna turn up. But like we said, we were anticipating on getting outside this year for our show, right? And I
Hmm.
had the opportunity to go to Memphis and have some great conversations with some of the people that I connected with and reconnected with, of course. So look to have some very special guests, some returning and some
Yeah.
will be virgin.
So tell us about your experience at Memphis Pride.
Sure, sure. Well, so I always go, although I live in Ohio, I
Mhm.
before I moved to Ohio, I lived in, let's say, Mississippi. But where I lived in Tunica, or in that area, I should say, is really close to Memphis. So I was able to go and visit a lot of friends that are still in Memphis, as well as my church family, my church
Mhm.
home. So they do what is called Tri-State Black Pride, which consists of Arkansas, Tennessee, as well as Mississippi. In all
Mhm.
three of those states, because they are, kind of strategically connected right there in that area, come, and we enjoy a Pride event that
Right.
consists of it starts on Thursday night and it ends on Sunday afternoon or evening, I should say, after the music festival, right? So
Mhm.
Thursday night is an opening ceremony, which I think is really great in the sense that we get to celebrate ourselves and celebrate the
Mhm.
people who advocate for us in the community, who are working and doing the work in the community themselves, right?
Right.
And then, of course, on Fridays and Saturdays, they have like a job fair where they have people who are hiring right there on the spot, as well as
Mhm.
like a health fair. And they have other different symposiums and education things that are going on during the day. Then, of course,
Right.
we party at night. And then, we have after party, on occasions as well. Saturday, we have a brunch. Usually it's pretty lit. That is hosted by
Mhm.
Miss Sophia. Uh, and then on Saturday night, of course, we have another a party, and then we have an after party. So by this point, I'm usually pretty tired. I'm
Right.
not
Right.
a young chicken no more. So, but I do make it a point to get up and go to church. Again, that's my home church.
Mhm.
I do go to church on that Saturday. I'm sorry, that Sunday, and then that Sunday night, there's usually a free, and I said free
Mhm.
music festival, right? So they have
Right.
usually big name artists or artists, a collection of artists that come through, some locally, some from other nearby states that come through, and they give us a show and they entertain us for those hours. So it's
Right.
really full, but it's also so much going on that is necessary and needed within the community that kind of helps us to go back to be recharged
Mhm.
and to go and carry out the things that we are continuing to do within our own communities, right? So
Right.
it's just always a good time for me. I'll say
Oh,
that.
that's good. I,
Yeah.
I have not been to Pride in so long. I need
Okay.
to work on that. But it just be, I don't like crowds like that.
Yeah.
I don't like where, it's just, and then especially when we go to Black Pride, we know Black Pride is about the nightlife. We know it's about the park on Sunday, especially if you go to Atlanta Pride. And it just sometimes be just so overwhelming to literally have to pay $50 for parking when it's normally free.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, are they taking the whole purpose and the essence of Pride away
Yeah.
to where they're making it more of a financial thing? And I think that's where my hesitation come in at.
Okay. I got you.
I think that's where, but I said I'm going to do more. I'm not the flag carrying kind, but I do love the support. I do love to be out there. I do love the camaraderie, having fun, and all of that. And they really don't have a lot of things going on in Pride up north, like
Yeah.
Baltimore. Pride is like you could have just stayed home, literally.
Yeah.
But DC Pride is typically pretty good.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Well, so again, I have had the privilege of visiting several, multiple prides in various states. I've been to the one in Nashville. I've been to the one in DC. I've also been to the one in Columbus here.
Hmm.
And I feel like there's another place, but it's escaping me at the moment. Oh, Atlanta. Man,
Right.
what am I thinking, yo?
Listen, who hasn't been to that one?
Listen, we do a great job at putting these events together. Again, it is a way for us to continue to be present, uh,
Hmm.
even in this current climate where the administration is trying to be so exclusive.
Hmm.
We always, as a culture and as a community, find ways to be inclusive and continue to be at the forefront of the movement.
Right.
Um, and again, for us this past weekend, there, to my knowledge, there was no incidents.
That's good.
We all conducted ourselves accordingly, as we usually do. Right? I'm not aware of any incidents that have taken place in the past years that I've attended that would cause a distaste in my mouth, at least
Hmm.
from the experience. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. What I will say is that the some of the prides tend to be around the same time, right? So if they
Yeah.
could be a little stagnant, or a little stacked, let me say
I mean,
that.
once a month, circulate them bad boys.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's
and
enough
give
to
us
go
a chance.
around.
Yeah, absolutely,
Because
absolutely, I agree with
it
that.
would help us support more. Because, like you said, with the pride that you just left, it was Memphis, Ohio, and New Orleans, and
Yeah,
you got to try to
yeah,
pick which one.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So and then I imagine that they're all fighting for our attention in some ways,
Mhm.
if you think about it in that way. But yeah, I think that if we were to, like you said, kind of spread them out, and or even if it's just regionally, right?
Mhm.
But I think everyone would probably would benefit more so from that, as well as be supportive to the other ones as well. So
Right. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. Regal Mindset was represented. We was outside, you know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
outside.
Outside.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yes,
can't
yes.
wait. It's yeah. We still got some time to make up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Listen, we again, we are still cooking in the kitchen. We are still working on things in terms of making sure that we remain outside and we
Mhm.
remain relevant in the community, and making sure that we're one bringing you content and information that will take you that you can take back to your circle group, right? Your close
Mhm.
friends, your family, your community, and continue the conversation, right? So we
Right.
hope that we're still doing that for you. If we can do better, please reach out to us. You're more than welcome to contact us on any of our social media platforms. We do read them. We do respond back, right? There's a lot of people
Mhm.
that follow us on Twitter. I'm not Twitter, that follow us on TikTok. And we always, engage, and we do communicate or reply back. So the same with Instagram. So continue to show us love, and we're going to show you love. And, that's why we're here. We take the time
Right.
out of our Friday nights to come and have these conversations in front of you guys. And we appreciate your love, and your follows and your clicks, your likes, your shares, and all of that. So,
So I got to admit that we are having the same technical difficulty as we did a couple weeks ago.
okay.
So we're not live on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I just tried to do that too.
Yeah, but it
I
is
don't know
live on
why.
YouTube. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on with it.
Yeah. That is weird. That
Like
is
it
very weird.
shows up live, but when you go in there to change, like for some reason when we go live on our Facebook pages,
Yeah.
we have to change the privacy setting from only me to public. And
Exactly.
then but it's not allowing either one of us to do it.
Yeah. That's really weird. And I don't know if it's because we set it, so far in advance.
But we
But
never had that problem before, you know?
right, right. No, no. The one time we had that problem before, it was because we had a scheduled program, and
Hmm.
then we not missed it, but we rescheduled it. And I think because we rescheduled it for some reason, maybe it just did not allow us to come in and change it. Excuse me, on Facebook. So I will make a mental note or a physical note here on my notepad to reach out to StreamYard. I don't know if it's StreamYard or if it's Facebook that we're having that issue with, but we got to figure that out. So
Yes, because it's like it's going live. Like our Facebooks are lit up live.
Yeah.
But when you go to the actual video and try to change the
The setting.
setting, it doesn't. So we got to figure
Yeah.
that part out because
That's crazy. Yeah. I hate
okay,
that too.
no, I took mine off and re-added it, and now I'm able to do it.
Okay. When you
You
say took
want
it
to take
off, what do you mean?
so I went so on StreamYard, go into your actual Facebook one,
Yeah.
remove it, don't delete it, but remove it, save
Okay.
it, and then go back in there and add it back. And then when you go on Facebook, it should allow you to change the privacy setting.
Okay. I'm gonna do that right now as we're
Yeah,
speaking.
because if you notice, the last one we did live, we did it earlier, and we thought maybe that was the reason why.
Yeah. So when I go back in to add it on Facebook on StreamYard, I don't
Mhm.
have an option to edit.
You had to go on your Facebook page
Oh, I see what you're saying.
and go
Okay.
to the post. Once you connect it back on,
Yeah.
then go to your post and do edit the privacy and change it from only me to public.
Gotcha. All right. I'm doing that also. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There I can go and make it public now. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
We ain't
most
been
of our
gone that
people.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, that part. Okay, so that's a mental note that we have to do it, change it right away when we
Hmm.
go in there. Maybe we can work on at least reaching out to Facebook to see if there's something that we can do on that end
To
to
where it
make
should
sure.
automatically go to public
Yeah,
versus us
yeah,
having to keep doing that. Okay.
absolutely. All right. Well, so tonight's conversation is going to be a great conversation in terms of, again, it's also necessary and it's intentional, right? Again,
Hmm.
we're in a climate where the current administration is trying to be more exclusive than ever before. And we have to determine or figure out ways that we can be more inclusive and understand the value in that, right? We're stronger
Right.
together than we are separated.
Right.
So that brings me to the title, What Do Black People Own?
Mm.
Right?
It's a good title.
Uh, yeah, absolutely. We have a video that we're going to watch, right? You and I both have seen this
Hmm.
video. And when I saw it, it was right before you sent it to me. And it really had me to pause and think, like, wow, that is true.
Yeah.
That is very true. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna play the video, and then you and I are gonna unpack what we
Hmm.
heard, right? And I share our perspectives, and then we'll continue the conversation. Okay.
I'm with it. I'm ready.
All right. Hold on. Let's see.
If y'all don't know what a family
Oh, let's figure out. Uh,
You have to add it to the stage.
yeah. Let me remove it. And
is, it's generally a family that has accumulated some wealth, generally more than 50 to $100 million, and they manage everything themselves. Okay, so we're at this conference, and the guy, he says to me, he's actually an Indian guy, and so he says, Indian people, we got a couple things. We got motels, corner stores, like gas station type deals. Vietnamese people have nail shops. Cambodian people in California have donut shops. And he's just like running down the list. You know, Indian tribes got casinos. And then he looked at me, he said, "What black people got?" And I was like, and then I posed the question to Instagram and Twitter, and I got some reasonable answers back, which was like, "Oh, we got barbecue, we got this, we like businesses that we do historically in the Black community." But the differentiator is we are not in the each one teach one fund and mobilize each other in these industries like what they're talking about. And if you've never seen this documentary, you should definitely go and watch it. It's called The Donut King. The guy was a Cambodian refugee. He comes and he gets a job at a donut shop, and the person starts teaching him the business. And then they gave him some money for a down payment to start his own business. And then once he got it up and running, more Cambodian refugees were coming, and he was like helping them learn the business. He would teach them the business, then he put them in business. All right, help them go get a lease, help them get financing, all of the things. They stand it up, they pay them back, and then they do it for somebody else. And so at one point, there were like 400 donut shops owned by Cambodian refugees. And so I look at that and I say, wow, we do got barbecue restaurants, but when have they ever shared a business practice? When have they ever even shared like the special seasoning that all got seasoned salt in it? Or said, okay, you open another location, I'll help you with the down payment. I'll help you get your lease terms. I'm going to help you because if you've never been in an industry, you don't even know what to ask.
Facts.
Mhm.
So now you got people who are in lease terms that are terrible that you could have helped because you've been through it and you've been burned before.
Why do you think that is, though?
That is a great.
Oh man, we've been preaching this, I think, since we started this podcast journey. So yeah, where do you want to start?
Well, so even if we start with the basic concept of the conversation, right? Different cultures and nationalities have ownership. Well, I shouldn't even say ownership. They have a way of taking on something, right? Learning what that is, being great at that, and passing that knowledge and information down to their loved one or someone who more than likely looks like them, right? Like she said, I have not seen the documentary, but I have made it a point to make sure I find it and to I can actually watch it. In her reference, the Cambodian gentleman came to this country, and the owner of the donut shop shared with them how he established that business. You know, the ins and outs. Even gave him, as she said, the money for the down payment so that he can do that. And he then went and fed, so to speak, his community, right? Other
Mhm.
refugees from Cambodia came to that area, and he taught them, helped them financially get on their feet so that they can help and feed their families and take care of their families. And they
Mhm.
continued. It was a trickle effect, right? A wave effect, just like you throw a pebble in a lake. I won't say that Black people haven't done that. I will say that it's a smaller percentage of Black people who have done it, right?
Mhm.
We look at Black Wall Street, right? That did not happen by accident, right? That was organized, that was planned out, that was strategically thought provoking, right? They decided they needed a bank, they needed, all the different businesses that they established, and they started there. um how they go back and and teach other people outside of their own community, that I don't know, but I do know that those things exist in our country, in our community, in our culture, and with the African Americans, but I don't know that it happens on the scale in which she's referencing. Do you
Mhm.
agree?
Yes, I do agree, and what I would say is that for the Black community, we don't see opportunities as opportunities
Ah,
unless it comes with a free ticket. And let's just be real. We
okay.
want the hook up.
Good
We
point.
want we want hook a brother up. No, the reason why I won't hook you up is because what I need to hook you up with, you don't want to comprehend that. You want something quite fast, quick, and simple.
Mm-hmm.
The differences in our communities is that we do have things that we've established. We are the mastermind
Mm-hmm.
behind multiple products beyond beside every, I mean, in every industry. We never capitalized on it because it was one person that started it, and we lived, some of us, the older generation, lived in, if I had to do it the hard way, you have to do it the hard way. A lot of other cultures don't feel that way. The Indian culture, their children could stay home for years. They arrange their marriages for the
Mm.
benefit of the family. You think we're gonna go for that? No.
Nah.
But they make sure their family stays strong by arranging that marriage. We don't care about love. We care about the strength of our family and our family name continuing. We've
That's
joined
deep.
partnerships. We look at love a different way. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's my baby daddy. That's this, that's that. Our mindset doesn't allow us to own. Our mindset allows us to consume.
That's
And
good.
it is reason because back then we couldn't. But majority of people back then did. They had acres,
Mm.
but it was easier to sell than be harassed. It was
Gotcha.
easier to leave than to stay there and fight. That's our struggle. So then when you have Indian, and I'm talking about not Native American, I'm talking about actual Indians, they
Yeah.
have their monies is more here in the United States. Is more, I can't think of the exchange rate, but it's more to what they have in their country. So for every, let's for example, for every $1 is 500 of their dollars. So I can send money back. I can bring over a family member for 7 years or less,
Mm-hmm.
tax free. Let them work, let them obtain credit, send their ass home, and recycle. They can do that. We can't. So it's systematically. So it's
Mm.
systematically in is a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Asians now when it comes down to Indian culture, if you ask their parents, they have to go in certain careers. They're typically in
True.
tech, and then they in convenience
Mm-hmm.
markets, liquor stores, because they know marketing and where the consumer dollars are spent. So they bring them
Mm-hmm.
here to us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then they get all the discounts for being non-American. Let's just be real. We don't, they come in with a prepared plan and availability to funds for business and all of that because they can prove that they have businesses in their own country. That's one. Then when you go to the Asia community, they're known for service and products. They are a manufacturing country. So they already know what we want.
Mm-hmm.
They know we're not going to get out there and do nails. So
True.
what? But if you go to a white neighborhood, you're not going to see lovely nail. You're not. You have to come outside of their neighborhood to get to a nail shop, but they're right up the street from us, two or three
Mm-hmm.
of them. They know where to bring it. We don't position ourselves to go there. We can bring the what we bring to the table and what we own is the money. And when
Mm-hmm.
we truly realize that, then they ain't got nothing to say. But if we can, like they say, teach one, if we can teach each other the value of the dollar in America in consumerism to
Mm-hmm.
help flip that monopoly table over, then I think we'll be on the winning end. In
Mm-hmm.
addition, let's go to mindset. Black mindset. This is historically proven, and I got the data.
Mm-hmm.
Our first primary goal in spending is beauty and personal care.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
why wouldn't you go and open up a beauty salon? I mean, a beauty supply store, because we can do the salon.
Yeah.
We don't have the beauty supply stores.
Yeah.
Why don't we can do nails,
Uh-huh.
but what we don't have the nail shops. We have a nail person.
Mm-hmm.
We can do wigs. We can create our own hair products because we know our hair. But
Yeah.
we rather go get Africa Best, which was made by a white man, Africa Pride, which was made by a white man. Then you got Dr. Bronner, who has a white owner. They cover up what we feel is ours. We don't manufacture the baseline product. We would make more money in a beauty supply store than we would in a beauty salon.
Yeah.
That's one. Then we got to go to apparel and footwear. That's the number two on our list. We all about clothes, shoes. So we'll stand in line for Jordans. We'll make
Mm.
sure we have the freshest gear. When you go out to these clubs and you see people, they'll be like, "Oh, I got it on. You know, I paid $800 for this shirt, but it's a shirt." But the person who made the shirt is not even wearing that shirt. They're not
Yeah.
going to wear a fuzzy Dolce and Gabbana sweater. They know we was going to get that stupid stuff in lime green because I seen it. It was on TikTok. This man, he was hard on, man, this. And I said, but it's fuzzy and it's green. So,
Fuzzy.
right. And then then the next one, I'm gonna do three. Then the
Okay.
next one is media and entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to position ourselves to own the record label. We just want to get on the record. Our mindsets are wrong
Yeah.
because if you've learned from any artist, they want to own their masters.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. You can
Yes.
distribute it how we used to do, get on the corner and set them CDs,
Okay.
mixtapes. You can get on TikTok and make a banging song. So you don't even need these record companies the way that you feel. But we just want to be in the spotlight. But then we don't know how to negotiate that contract. So then you
True.
remember when TLC gave their documentary? They was in RAV4s, and they were thinking
Yeah.
they was doing it because it was better than what they had. But they realized they didn't have no money. And then I'm gonna flip it real quick, and I promise this going because this just tripped me out. Let's go to white people.
Okay.
Their demographics, their number one focus is housing and real estate. They know where their market is.
Yeah.
We're just getting there because we gave it up. We didn't keep grandma land. We
Yeah.
didn't keep granddaddy land because it was too much of a headache. It's
Yeah.
too old. But that same property that they lived their life on was worth millions because of what the people wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
So if they're focused on housing, y'all can say what you want about Trump. Trump come from a family that only did real estate. That's all they was in, real estate. He
Mm-hmm.
came out with his other stuff, but their first primary thing was real estate. What's the second thing? Travel and leisure. Oh, we'll kill Miami. We'll kill Cancun. But when you think about travel and leisure, they come up with the how to get there, the places you go to, and then they look at vacation, and I'm talking about on a wealthy level. Vacation to them is called holiday. It's even a different word.
Mm-hmm.
We go on vacation and trying to get the most of it. No, they said we're going on holiday, we're going to relax, and then we're going to go and plan another one so we can do activity. But this one we just relax. It's an entire different feel.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also travel for experience. They don't travel to say they've been there. They want to have an experience. Then the third one, health and wellness. They love organic foods, supplements, all of this. That's where they put their money in.
Yeah.
They don't care how many the fads that come in. Billy Blanks was more popular with the white people than he was with us.
Yeah.
And they engage in holistic treatment. They love to go to the Chinese medicine and get those teas.
Mm-hmm.
They come into the hoodoo shops to get herbs and remedies and stuff like that. And then who owns and oversees the healthcare plan, insurance plan people?
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, we see three different mindsets. Ours is focused on consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, well, why not benefit from it? And you can't even be mad. And real quick, the Native Americans, why they're so big in casino is because they don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
And nobody can regulate what goes on their reserve.
Yeah.
So when you go to their casinos are typically on their land
Mm-hmm.
or at the border where there's no regulation.
Mm-hmm.
South of the border, all of those casinos. But man, when you get to these casinos like Horseshoe and MGM, they're within a city, they're regulated, and they're owned by actually Trump. But so you got to see where they saw the benefit.
Yeah.
Where we don't see the benefit because we don't talk about benefit.
Yeah.
We don't have these conversations saying, listen, no, you're not. I'm not going to buy you those Jordans. What I'm going to do is you're going to take care of the shoes I get you. But every time we put an investment in, if you make enough on your dividend, then you can go buy some. Because
Yeah.
we have to create a source in order to pay for the need or the want.
True. Absolutely.
That's where we differ. That's why we don't own anything, because we never solidify anything.
Yeah.
We own the money, but then we don't want to own that.
All good points. And I would tend to agree with everything that you said, in the sense that that's why we don't have our own Donut King story, right?
Mhm.
Like you said, I think had we been a community or a culture that changed our thought process early on and continued to feed that into our seeds, then yes, we would be better. We would be different, right? Our communities would look different. Our upbringings would look different. The way we
Mhm.
conduct business would look different, right? But let's say now, right, we're in 2025, right, and we have the opportunity, we have more access to the things that we desire to have out of life, right? Whether we want to invest in real estate, whether we want to create these businesses, we have the means now. what do you think are the barriers that we have in place now that prevents us, right, as African Americans or as Black people, from doing that?
Proximity
Okay.
and um, and value.
Okay.
Proximity because it's other cultures, like you said, the Cambodian taught one.
Uh-huh.
They kept it as a proximity. Same thing with
Okay.
Jewish company. Jewish community. They keep it in house so
Uh-huh.
that every wealth conversation, everything is in house. They're around each other. They know what each other is doing. They know how to build each other up. They say, okay, I'll give you this one to make sure your business get situated because in turn, I know you're going to do the same.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't have proximity
Yeah.
because
Okay.
right now everybody's trying to get it on their own. It
True.
wasn't during the time with Black Wall Street. They worked together.
Yes. Yes.
And real quick, other part of proximity, and then going back to what we own, all of them back in that day, they owned something. They
Uh-huh.
owned the store. They owned the juke joint. They owned the brothel.
Yeah.
They knew how to give good butt.
Yeah.
And because they met a need. They know them, they wanted to come in and fill on a Black woman.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. So
Yeah.
they owned all of that. But what happened is it wasn't translated in business. All you
Okay.
know is your grandma owned a brothel.
Yeah.
But that means you should have kept it going because you know it's legal in Rhode Island. As long as you keep it indoors. That's the only rule.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of opportunities we miss. So proximity,
Okay.
because we don't have those circles the way that most other cultures and other races have social circles that they exclude us out of. It used to be the country club, but then we end up getting in.
Okay.
So they used to be in golf, but we end up getting in. So what they do is let's put a price tag. It's $100,000 to be in this society, and they know we ain't coming.
Yeah.
So then we don't create our own forums for
Mm-hmm.
that because there are angel investors. There are people out there that will invest in you.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why a lot of Black people won't go is because they don't trust a Black person. They would trust a white person before they trust it. Even in warehouses, when I worked in warehouses, they would rather listen to the white man than anything I had to say until they was in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something in with us that we need to fix. The second part is, as I said, proximity, value. There are people that you can pay to mentor you, to learn, but they don't want to pay for it because they don't value the knowledge. They don't value the information.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, but you will go and pay Grant Cardone, who said out his own mouth, he'd go after a certain demographic, which is us,
Mm-hmm.
because he know what we want and he know that we'll get it because he's a white man that's been on TV, got notoriety, and he speaks the Black language.
Mm-hmm.
He wants you to make this money. That's what gets our attention. But
Mm-hmm.
if we go in and say, hey, we have a guaranteed way to help you do X, Y, and Z, but it's going to require 6 to 12 months of your time and $7,000. Who's going to show up?
True.
We don't see value.
Yeah.
We don't see value in education, not school, in education.
Mm-hmm.
They do. They send their children to certain schools for the networking,
Mm-hmm.
for the opportunities, not the
Mm-hmm.
degree.
Exactly.
Because Harvard law degree is no different from Villanova law degree. But if I send you to Harvard, 3 families that we're trying to be connected with, children go there. I need you to be friends with them. I need y'all in
Yeah.
the same fraternity and sorority. I don't care if you pass.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about value and proximity. And if we can pivot and understand the value and knowledge, because it was a saying from a white man. They said, if you ever want to hide anything from a Black person,
Put
put
in a
it in
book.
a book.
Yeah. That is
And
true.
that is so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I agree with that, but proximity and value. I'm gonna go even piggyback off of what you said earlier. I think it's mindset. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason I say it's mindset is because oftentimes once we let's just say I'm going to open a cleaners, right? We just say
Mm-hmm.
that I'm going to open a cleaners. And once we get our understanding of what has to happen, let's say steps 1 through 5, after 1 through 5, I feel like I'm doing too much work. It's easier for me to say, you know what? Maybe
It
I
ain't for
really don't
me.
want to do that. Yeah, right. So that's why a lot of people say being an entrepreneur is not for the weak. It really is.
Right.
Right. There's a
Right.
lot of times you're going to get no, well, that's not right, or you're going to lose a lot of money doing so, or like you said, have the right coaches and at the right time.
Hmm.
Let me also say that the right coach at the right time.
With the right information.
Right. You don't have this relationship with this bank or that credit union. So all of these things are very important. But when things get hard for us as a community, as a culture, or I'm gonna say, I'm not speaking. Listen, don't come for me in the comments. What I
Right.
will say is that does not apply to everybody. Come on, let's
Right.
use some common sense here. That does not apply to everybody. But sometimes, most times, right? Somebody, unless it's somebody that once things start getting tough, that the moment it starts getting way more than what they anticipated, they throw their hands up. I'm done. I'm over it.
Yeah.
And then that's where we hinder ourselves and our family.
Because we wanted instantaneous,
Yeah,
because
microwave.
we wanted microwave, we wanted instantaneous.
Yeah.
And you have to keep in mind, with entrepreneurship, you're literally going from a 40-hour work week to a 95-hour work week for yourself.
Okay.
You have to put in the effort, because it's easier to join a job that's already built.
Yep.
It's easier. And they know that. And it's, if I can give you something worthwhile, then you're going to forget any and everything you can or wanted to do. Then they made it better. Well, I'm gonna give you a salary. Oh my God, I make $100,000 a year, and this is it. Yeah, but then they want you to work 80 hours.
Yeah.
Then when you divide that by this and this, you ain't getting that much money.
Yeah.
And then we put ourselves in predicaments to where we put ourselves in those industries where we're not respected.
Mm-hmm. True.
And I'm not saying anybody, and this is just my personal experience. I never had to work a um, um, entry level job. When I say entry level, McDonald's, none of that. Never had to. My first job was at Barnett Bank. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I love Crystal Burgers. So, like seasonal, I used to go and work for them like one season for like at night, because I always worked third shift. Loved it. But I never had to do those type of jobs. So when I talk to people, I'm talking from a perspective of, you don't have to be there. Let me show you how to get here, but this is what
Yes.
it's going to take.
Mm.
And then that's what they don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, and especially to coaches and out there, let me tell you, don't change your price, change the customer.
Mm.
Because you know your price is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't change my price. I let the customer come. The ones who need it is going to invest in it. Because when I was all up in church, in the like religious wise, I
Mm-hmm.
paid to go to Women Dot Loose. Whether or not TD Jake shook my hand or not, I paid to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to pay to get up to the front. Everything. When you want something and you know you need something, you will do what it takes to get it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Listen, and we kind of started the show off in that way, right? We
Right.
said that, we are, listen, we could be doing a number of other things. I have family
Mhm.
upstairs right now, and them grandkids is running all up and down this thing on first floor. I can hear every step, and they running in and out, and they're playing in the little water pool, whatever thing they got. We could be doing other stuff other than
Mhm.
here. We love to be here to provide and have conversations that are necessary, not just for the LGBT community, but for our community as a whole. We are talking about things that should be discussed at the kitchen table or in a car ride, home from the grocery store or wherever, right?
Right.
If the more we have these conversations, the more knowledge and awareness we have, then we are living a more mindful life, right? And more intentional about how we think about things, how we conduct ourselves in business, how and what businesses we engage with, right? And,
Right.
and all of that. It is necessary. We enjoy doing this. And the only thing that we ask is you like, click, and share the comment. Like, click, and share as you comment on our content.
Because I promise you, if we would have opened up with what's going on with Tyler Perry, how many views you think we would be at right now?
Oh man. Well, gossip is always going to be gold.
Exactly.
Gossip
So
is gold.
this is better than gossip
Sure.
because you're getting information to help you be successful. And
Yeah.
it's up to you to what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
We're not talking about it for health. We're not saying any other way, but you can't say the information is not out there. You can't say there's nobody that doesn't want to help you. That you can't say all of that
Mm-hmm.
because we've told you you can hit us up and we'll find you the resources.
Mm-hmm.
We will make sure it ain't about you being a just a person on our platform, but if you need help, we will help find you help. We talk about money. We talk about Black excellence and success. We
Mm-hmm.
talk about things in our own LGBTQ. We get on them harder
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
because there is an expectation. But where we at now in the under the administrative that we have an opportunity to win, to come out on top like never before. But it's hard to get people to see the what is the forest for the trees.
True. Absolutely.
And it's okay because there was another guy on TikTok. He made a video about um, something about Juneteenth and should be is Black people's Father's Day because we don't see our fathers.
Mm.
But that comes from an ignorant white person
Mm-hmm.
who one don't look at statistics because we got more fathers in the home and more present than whites
Okay.
and
Yeah.
less abuse. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But you don't want to pull up numbers and facts. And just because a person's father sometimes, and to be truthful, we understand a father's absence sometimes was the best
Yeah.
because everybody's not ready to be a parent, but at least they can
Yes.
admit it.
Yes.
And we're better off. We're more well rounded.
Yes.
So now he's out there apologizing because they have a mistake of our culture because they look at it from a conversation that they've developed about us. But
Mm-hmm.
you don't know our culture.
Mm-hmm.
You're not here. We're
Mm-hmm.
one of the most loving races. And I'm talking about not racism like racist, but
Right.
RAC. Okay, I want to make people
I got
understand
you. Yeah. Yeah.
RACES. We're one of the most compassionate. Why? Because if you ask Indians, they will tell you, they tell their children, if you're ever lost, go find a Black person.
Mm-hmm.
If you're ever hungry, where you coming? Because I don't care if you white, black, brown, or yellow, we're going to feed you and make sure
Yeah.
you're okay.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure you're good.
Yeah.
We're going to protect you. If you scared at something, they say go find a Black man. If
Yeah.
you lost and need to take care, they tell you to go find a Black woman. You can't say that to anybody else. I'm not saying everybody's bad. What I'm saying
Right.
is that's what we're known for, safe places.
True.
And so it doesn't matter what another person looks at from the outside in, as long as we know what we offer.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
long as we know the table that we bring, that's all that matters. And that is what we need to teach our children
Yeah.
and everyone else. Because Trump just came out with a new idea that he's trying to get passed where they want you to take your child out of public school so he can close down public school system so that you can do homeschool and he'll pay you $14,000 a year to homeschool. Why that would be great for us? Because we're the only race that does not have a school, excuse me, one of the only cultures that does not have their own school system.
Mm-hmm.
We utilize white school system when Jewish utilize Jewish school system.
Mm-hmm.
Asians don't send their children to us until they're adults. Indians, I'm talking about India type Indians, they
Mm-hmm.
learn they don't bring their children to our primary schools.
True.
They learn over there, then they come over here for higher education.
Mm-hmm.
Africans, they teach them there and they come over here. It's
And
a
multiple
problem.
languages. You hear
Multiple
me?
languages. So, what is the problem that Black people don't see? where we can educate our children better and speak to them. Because when they go to public school, they monitor them for behavior, not
True.
academics.
True.
I'm sorry, I
True.
didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, no, no. I was just gonna say, to answer your question, some of the people right at home right now, if they were, let's say that he gets the okay, he gets the green
Mhm.
light, they don't have the level of education to teach nobody nothing,
They don't.
right? So at some point, we need some of them got to go to school with the kids,
They can't.
right? Then I don't know who's gonna teach them, whoever coming after them. But is it impossible for us to do? No, we can do better. We
We
should
can,
be doing better,
but
right?
we can establish our own system, our own
Right.
schools.
And we have to look at it in terms of what is the value in that, right?
Right.
Because like you said, if they don't see the value in teaching them about Juneteenth, you know how many black people don't know about what Juneteenth is?
And we can't even be mad that white people don't know because we didn't know.
Oh, listen, my grandparents told me. So, but again, that was they told us only because they were living in it, right? And
Hmm.
before there was a gap in terms of uh information, I'll say, right? I'll speak for myself. For my, let's say my mom didn't necessarily know enough about it to share with me because
Hmm.
either one, they had stopped the rituals or the cultural festivals or the festivities that they would have. My grandparents would live in New York and they would go down south for during that time during Juneteenth to have foot washing and the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Okay, the whole experience, like we said earlier, but there was a gap in terms of cultural pass down of that information, right?
Right.
So if they're understanding and they're listening to us and understand that, listen, okay, if I do not have it now, how can I get it? Because I want to leave my kids in a better situation, then it's not too late, right?
It's not too
Do I
late.
see it happening? Not at the numbers in which we would like for them to happen, but it is possible.
Especially when we have individuals that was educated in the public school system that
Yeah,
left them on red. To be
yeah,
honest,
yeah.
if you didn't have a parent that gave any care about what you learned, then we accept whatever we get.
Mm-hmm.
We get teachers that feel like, well, I already got mine, you can get yours. All they do is monitor behavior.
Yeah,
Soon as you cut up, get out. They don't
yeah,
care if you passed, failed, or anything.
yeah.
But if we did have educators, because I would honestly be one,
Mm-hmm.
because I want you to know so much about your Black history that you understand you don't have to get revolutionized in college because you know from birth how
Okay,
great you are.
okay.
Because
That part.
they teach us about Ford, but they forgot to teach us about Charles Patterson, who developed it was the first Black car maker in 1915. They, they don't tell us that. We have to learn that after the fact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't tell us nothing about the goodness that we bring, but they could tell us. And even when it comes down to Black History Month, they focus on the slavery, overcoming that. But you never told us how great we was,
Mm-hmm.
or even about the traitors that was there, the ones that knew how to read but didn't want to put out any publications out to let people know that they was free.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't
True.
calling no names because some people love them, but there's some Black folk in history
Yeah.
that purposely misled in written publications because they knew how to read and write
Mm-hmm.
and didn't tell people that they was free. There's no possible way.
Yeah.
And we see that it just continued generation after generation.
Yeah.
The only thing is we're not physically killing each other, but we're generationally killing each other, educationally killing each other, psychologically, mentally, and emotionally killing each other. So we don't have to get out there and stab each other. All we
Yeah.
got to do is keep the information.
You know what? When you say that, I am so interested in learning and understanding why we don't love ourselves as much as we should.
It's
Because if
easy.
we did, then how can we operate from a place of not wanting to give our seeds that, right? Why would we operate or love out of a place where we don't pour into them everything that they're going to need to be successful. We know what it's like because we've already gone through it. We've gone through the fire. Why would I do a disservice or dishonor myself and my lineage by not giving it to them?
This is because you're at a place of maturity and understanding. But let's be honest. Most of us, especially from the South, suffer with colorism.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Okay.
was black, you was ugly. And that was in the black family. We didn't
Yeah.
need the white person
Yeah.
telling you was ugly.
Yeah.
Because our grandmas did. Because they hated themselves.
Mm.
Most of them became parents so young that they didn't know how to be a parent. They was forced into these relationships and with their children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take care of you because you're mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then majority of them were sexually assaulted, SA'd in some way, and then they had to keep quiet. So it ate them up on the inside to where what's so wrong with me that this happened?
Yeah.
Then if you get to our generation, half our mamas didn't even like us.
Yeah.
Screw the daddies. It was the mamas that did. We was home with them, and
Yeah.
they didn't like us. They was jealous. It was a lot of toxicity. Toxicity. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Toxicity. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we can't see the beauty. Then when we go to school, we hear slavery. We hear we wasn't worth anything. We hear we couldn't vote. We hear we couldn't go to school. How does that help? Then when we go to get an apartment or a house and they tell us no because we black. Then we go to get a loan, we can't. Then if we go to jail, they give us more time. It's here. Remember, I said, I'm in here, and
Yeah.
I'm in here.
Yeah.
And it takes us to get to a mature level to say, I'm beautiful. And half of us didn't do that until recently.
Yeah.
Because majority of us, and I know me, no matter how many degrees I had, I still was afraid to check black on that EEO form.
Okay.
Let's be real. I didn't want
Yeah.
to check black. I wanted you to find out later.
Surprise.
Exactly. It's not until now that I'm like, everything about me is so beautiful. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you realize the color of your skin and what it represents,
Yeah.
when you realize how genetically we're superior,
Yes.
emotionally and mentally, we're superior.
Yeah.
Because if you feel that way about somebody that you have to destroy their whole life, who's really insecure? It ain't me.
Yeah.
But it took us late stages in life to get there. Now we have the advantage to tell our grandchildren, tell our children, because even as parents, we've done some damage. Probably beat them a little too much because we're passing it from what we learned.
Yeah.
So it's a mind thing. Like you said, it's all a mindset.
Yeah.
But if we can implement systems in our community, which is what Black Wall Street was,
Yes.
our community where it was safe, where we, because when I was growing up, we had that one aunt that came and got everybody off the bus.
Yeah.
Everybody got their homework done. Everybody ate. Everybody went outside to play till your grandma came and got you or your mama.
Yeah.
That's
That
a
was their
village.
gifts. That was their anointing. That was their ministry.
Exactly. To make sure you was good and safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are
Now
right.
you can't leave your kid with nobody. I'm sitting there like my baby ain't going nowhere.
Okay. Listen. No, all great information. And like you said, and I can appreciate the fact that you've done some research. I've also done some research, and I want to give you guys some numbers.
Yeah.
I feel like I've given them before, but there's 194,585 Black-owned businesses as of 2022. Right, we were in or exiting, I should say, COVID around that time. So more than likely, it's more than that now. I would say, right. There's 1.6 million workers, right, in Black-owned businesses, right, as of 2022. So those are some numbers. So to answer the young lady's questions, right, if we were on her post, we could respond in saying that yes, Black people own businesses, as we know. Do we do or manage handing down those skills, that knowledge, that information, those practices, those behaviors down to someone else, or enough people that is going to make a difference, we could do better at that.
We could do better.
Right. So that would be the call to action. What is it that you can pass? What gifts or talents or ministry do you have that you can pass along to someone else so that they can make it better and carry on the legacy or return that to in their homes or in their communities, in their village? What is it that you can do today? What knowledge do you have? What expertise do you have that you can pass on to someone else that they could either possibly make a living today and or figure out how to make a living for their families, how to give back in that way? What was you gonna say? Man,
I would say I was gonna give one good tip.
Yeah.
If you have children, especially young children,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing is get life insurance.
Okay. Yeah.
The second thing is get you a high yielding savings account and start putting, even if it's $100 a month, $100 here and there, start putting something away.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get those two things, simple things, it will shift your mindset into other things that you can do and accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Because in our head, I need that extra $100, but you went and spent it on that prom that child didn't need. You went and got, let's be real, you go and get these luxury vehicle and that child bad as hell, ain't even graduating.
True.
Ain't even, if you can't give me good grades, you ain't getting that. I don't care how much money I got. You got to earn that to me because that's all you had to do.
Yeah.
But as an adult to change, you have to first change.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small step. The
Yeah.
first thing Black people need to do, all Black people need to have some level of life insurance.
Yes. I would agree. And then
We're
you know
not gonna
what?
keep doing this GoFundMe.
Yeah. Well, right. And I would go even a step further, right? Even though you're putting that money aside in a high yield savings account, we also have to impress upon the seed the importance of, hey, this money is set aside, whether it's you want to continue to go to college or whether you want to get married, whatever it is that you want to do. But this money or a portion of this money needs to generate or circulate to make more money, right? And how do we do that? They figured out whatever that is for you and your family, right? It's not enough that I put this money aside for you for whatever, but we got to do something with it, right? We have to make this multiply.
Absolutely. And don't count on your child's athletic ability to be their way.
Okay.
You have the ability to help create them a way because every child ain't fast. Every child ain't running the ball. Every child ain't doing all of that. But you can make sure that you hone in on your child's talent to let them see where they can be as glorious and big as they want to. Let them become.
Mm-hmm.
And you just create the space for them to become. Because then they won't be in a life and a career that they really didn't want to be in.
Yeah.
So we just gave y'all some good tips. Because when you first take the financial response, and even like in something I told some of our frats and stuff, I say, when we have these babies now, we need to give them enough money to pay for a couple of months or a year of a Gerber Watch Me Grow life insurance policy on their child.
Mm-hmm.
We made a good investment. I'm not buying your baby no Pampers.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take that same money, help you get this life insurance policy, and then the Watch Me Grow is simply a double when that child turned 18. And they could do one or two things: continue the life insurance policy or pull that money out when they turn 18. And that is a simple investment that's going to protect your child two ways.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of them passing, or when they get old enough, I don't care if it's only $8,000 in there. That's enough to give them something worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. But I'll also say this. I think sometimes that people don't do the things that I won't say necessary. I'll say if they don't have the information or the knowledge, then they don't know to do it.
Mm.
They just don't know, which is one other reason why we exist, right? Which is why we have the conversations. We continue to have the conversation because it is of importance.
Mm-hmm.
It is adding value to your lineage, to your family.
Yes.
It's setting them up for success. It's changing their mindset that money is not just something that you go to the mall and buy those Jordans, like you said.
Because they want their child to, I'm going to keep my child clean. And that's fine. And they don't deserve it. Because you're trying to compensate for your own hurt and your own lack that you experienced as a child. And we get
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you can scale it back, get them their needs, get them their wants. But let's be reasonable because you need to prepare or help them prepare for their future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right, man. Well, listen, this has been again a great conversation. Um, you know, I am full from having had it.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's necessary, and another reason as to why Regal Mindset exists. Um, Not only is it important to us to be able to provide and take care of ourselves and our families, but to also set them up for success and even to be able to live a somewhat decent life even after we're gone, you know?
Listen, that's the whole point.
Yeah, absolutely. But
We don't
otherwise,
want you
why
to
are we
be
here?
crying because you ain't getting nothing. I want you to be hurt that I'm gone, but knowing that my mom left me in such a good place.
Yeah, we're
I'm
gonna be
going
all
to
right.
hurt exactly. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna hurt,
Okay.
but she left us good.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, ain't no more good times. That family could never catch a break.
Right.
That,
Never.
I mean, my goodness. But no, and again, I understand that's the entertainment, but we're not here to do that. You know, we can live an abundant and healthy life,
Hmm.
and be able to extend some good value onto our kids. So,
Exactly.
um, if nothing else, keep a regal mindset. Again, please like, click, and share the content. Provide our social media content, or share it with somebody you know that needs to hear this conversation or other conversations that we've had, right? If there's something that you want us to have a discussion about, send us an inbox.
Hmm.
Let us know. Again, we do not bite, we do respond.
But do we?
Okay, we do.
You know
Yeah,
what?
listen, it has been a pleasure to have this conversation again with you, Jay. I love you, man.
Love
And
you too.
until next week, y'all,
Keep a regal mindset.
that what she said.